Coach ain't going to North Carolina yet. Coach Belichick is here. He's still going to be sitting in his same seat. We aren't as sad as we seem.
Coach,
sorry I'm late. I'm trying to take care of some business.
You can't say that football starts after Thanksgiving and then Thanksgiving happens and you just leave us.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right, I was worried.
That's a good one.
I was worried.
I like that. Hey, man, we were a little worried, but Coach is here. And as you saw in our opening, there's going to be a little Saquon Barkley. But when you look at this matchup, it ain't about the skill players when you think about the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Philadelphia Eagles.
No, this is going to be one of the biggest collections of the best, baddest linemen in the league on the offensive and defensive side of the football. For the Eagles on offense, the offensive line, you're getting Lane Johnson against T.J. Watt. You're going to get some Cam Hayward on Dickerson up there. That's a lot of man, dude. And then on the left side of the line, you got Jordan Mailata, and he's going to be dealing with Highsmith and Herbig and those guys. So I cannot wait to see the matchups up front. It's probably the best front on either side of the football, you could argue, in the entire league.
I mean, we got to see the Philadelphia Eagles O-line against that great young defensive line of the Los Angeles Rams. Yeah. But I believe that playing the Pittsburgh Steelers is going to be an even bigger challenge. And Saquon Barkley has benefited from the great offensive line play of the Philadelphia Eagles, so much so that this week he broke the single-season rushing record for the Philadelphia Eagles against the Panthers. And we had him mic'd up.
No matter what, running the ball, tackling, special teams, blocking, every single phase, we got to be the one. Oh, go daddy. You see that? How cool is that? Oh, come on. Let's start grinding. Come on.
Saquon Barkley is nearing history. He needs 109 yards to become the Eagles' all-time leading ground gainer for a season.
That's a nasty-ass cut, right? I know. That was nasty. No, it's a touchdown! You know what's the hardest tackle to break? When a linebacker, jumps on your back. So you're not expecting it. Y'all the best in the world. Keep believing that. Keep imposing y'all will. Keep imposing y'all will. Let's go.
It is a give to Saquon Barkley, and Barkley passes LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah!
The all-time single-season rushing leader in Philadelphia Eagles history. The Eagles beat the Carolina Panthers. It's not a Rembrandt, but they'll take it.
That's the beauty of football. Inches.
What was great about Saquon's wire was the energy. It was the amount of fun he was having running the football and playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. But even with all of that, the talk after the game was A.J. Brown saying that passing needs to improve. And so it made me dive into the film because I wonder, with the team that has 11 wins at this point, why would he be upset? And I think this is it. Look, you see him come open right away on this in route. This is an easy way to get A.J. Brown the football. And so if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you have to be eyeing this, but also moving forward, Jalen Hurts has to know that's a pitch and catch. Right now, you have him one-on-one with a single high safety. Give him an opportunity to win. He has a step on the defensive back. Again, comes open right now. We miss him. Calcaterra catches the touchdown, but for A.J. Brown, you just know you're open. And here's an RPO, which is another opportunity to either give the ball to Saquon Barkley or get A.J. Brown the football quickly. A.J. Brown understands that the passing game needs to get better, but when you're an individual player, you also feel the opportunities you have that aren't capitalized on, especially if you're trying to win games, Chris. But when you come out after the football game and say what he said and answer that question in that way, it's going to lead to more criticism of not only your team, but your quarterback.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an overshare, but I think it was also plain for everybody to see that watch the game. The passing game needs to be better. I think it's more about the result, and they don't want to live that way. And I think last year you look at what were they, 10-1, and the collapse that followed it. The guys in that locker room don't want to see the same thing happen. They know they got one of the best rosters in the NFL. If not, in my opinion, it's the best roster that Howie Roseman has put together in the NFL. The quarterback is going to be under a lot of scrutiny if they don't get there, and I think that's fair. But to your point, it's an overshare.
When you look at A.J. Brown, Chad, what could be some of the ways they get him more involved?
I mean, it's easy. Look at the previous game we just watched this Monday night with the Cowboys and the Bengals. The Bengals' first play of the game was a simple screenplay right to Jamar Chase just to get him involved in the game. Once you get a player like A.J. Brown or Jamar Chase, you give him the ball early, mentally aim to go on like with A.J. Brown, where he didn't touch the ball to the end of the first quarter. Mentally, they're checked out. And it's bothersome when you can't contribute and be a part of offense.
But, Coach, what's wrong with being a team that's led by the run?
Nothing. Whatever it takes to win.
Yeah.
And right now, the Eagles are really doing a good job. This will be a big test for them against Pittsburgh, but this is it. Time to play the best football now in December and January, and we'll see if they can do that.
I just want to see the quick game improve. You know, and I think the longer the down goes on for Jalen, the more uncomfortable I am if I'm an Eagles fan. You know, where there's some quarterbacks in this league, the longer they have the ball, you're puckered up, like a Lamar Jackson. Like, he's going to really hurt us. But I think Jalen needs to be decisive as much as any quarterback in the league. When he does that, he's fantastic, including with his legs.
Chad, how nervous are you or worried are you that this could be the same sort of collapse we saw last year from the Philadelphia Eagles?
I think it won't be the collapse because they're relying on the running game. Saquon is so special and takes some of the pressure off of Jalen Hurts so he doesn't have to do much. I think that's one of the reasons why the pass game is suffering, where they're second to last in the NFL when it comes to pass yards, where I think they will be fine. But this will be the week because the Pittsburgh defense is top 5, especially against the run, where they don't have no choice but to put in the air. And the last time A.J. Brown played the Steelers, he had 6 for 156 and 3 TDs. So if there's a game where he needs to bounce back and touch the ball a little bit, it would be this one.
As a head coach, when you start to have these things leak outside the locker room, do you feel a responsibility to address those things in-house?
Well, I think this is a perfect example of what happens when one person says something and everybody else has to react to it. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? That's why I always encourage the players to keep those things internally. If you have an issue, come to me, let's talk about it. But once somebody puts, if I put something dumb out there, then everybody else has to say, what did you think about the dumb thing Belichick said?
Yeah, that's real.
Just never miss an opportunity to shut up.
I like that.
Well, I'll shut up later when we get to the game plan because Coach is going to break down the Steelers' offense against the Eagles' defense. But up next, we'll look ahead at the Bills-Lions. The Bills and Rams entertained us with the highest scoring game of the season. And last week, we found out that the Ocho and Ocho Predicto may mean 8-time Super Bowl champion.
Have you seen Josh Allen?
I have.
No way he's losing. Rams score some points, but the Bills win 28-21.
Rams got the front. This could be an upset.
And the weapons.
I like that. Coach said it could be upset. Also, too, this is a totally different offense.
Yeah.
Puka Nacua is available.
No question.
It truly is. Coach, I mean, are you going to do Predicto later? Because you were better than Chad last week.
I can't compete with Chad. I just got lucky.
Hey, Coach, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. But the big one this week is the Bills versus the Lions. What's something you're interested in that game?
No secret. The Bills, they're lighter. They like to play in too high shell. They like to invite you to run the ball, go on long drives. Dan Campbell and Detroit Lions have no problem doing that. So what are they going to do to adjust and commit more bodies to the run game? Will they have to?
Yeah, I think you look against the Los Angeles Rams. Once Kyron Williams started to get going, you had to insert Taylor Rapp into the run game. And you could see that this week with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Now you're playing single high. Who do you think could take advantage of some of that single high coverage?
I think obviously Jamison Williams, Amon-Ra, St. Brown will probably take advantage of everything short and intermediate. And at some point, they will take their shots to Jamison Williams, especially, again, to your point, as far as playing cover two. It's sort of a pick your poison, especially for the Bills defense.
Yeah.
This is just my opinion, Chris, and I don't know if you feel differently. I don't want to have to rely on Josh Allen to continue to put the cape on the way he did last week.
Generally, no, but in these games, in my opinion, you burn the ships and you tell the big fella, get ahead of steam. You see man coverage, you don't like it. And tuck that thing for about 30 yards because he eats up green grass as fast as anybody. You saw it last week.
Coach, I know you've done this in the game plan before and talked about it throughout the season. What are ways that you have to coach your team, especially from a rush standpoint, to keep him inside the pocket?
That'll be a huge challenge for the Lions, controlling him in the rush. The Lions' pass rush has, been struggling now for the second half of the season. I would put a spy on him. That's not really the Lions' thing. I don't think Aaron Glenn will do that. And then, as Chris mentioned, coverage is going to be an issue, Chad. Both it's going to be hard to cover these receivers without a good pass rush. So this will be a big challenge for the Lions defense, and it'll be a big challenge for Buffalo's defense against two good offenses. we'll see what defense can play better.
Yeah, and I think that one thing we didn't mention about the Detroit Lions is continuing to have to replace good football players.
Yeah.
And when Coach mentions the rush, it kind of stands out to me that the answer to losing Aiden Hutchinson was bringing Alex Anzalone. And now he's no longer on the field, too. So how will you pressure Josh, and how will you keep him in the
There
pocket?
is a guy who they brought in who I've always been a big fan of, Zadarius Smith,
Yeah.
who he's playing like he's not 32, he's 25 years old. I mean, and he's really brought a lot of juice to that line. They can move him up and down the line. He's a floater. He can rush the edge, he can rush inside, which is kind of what Hutch did. I was so impressed with the way Aaron Glenn was able to get a lot out of a little, and I don't mean that in a negative way. These are a lot of depth pieces that he had playing hard. They were aggressive early in that game last week.
They were.
Do they do the same thing this week? I'm not sure.
I mean, it's one of the games of the weekend, and we'll be tuned in. But coming up next, we have Justin Jefferson mic'd up as he's on a historic run to start his career. But does Ocho think he's the best receiver in the league? Find out after the break. Justin Jefferson doing what he always does as part of what he says is the best duo in the league. But is he Chad's number one? He was part of another duo in college that may have a guy on Chad's list.
Well, listen, we'll get there in a second. Right now, I want to highlight some of the best receivers in the NFL at specific skill sets.
Okay.
Devontae Smith. To me, he has the best release, most consistent release. Right here, you can see him inside. Boom. He's quick, but not in a hurry. He's quick, boom, not in a hurry, sets the guy, gets inside, catches the ball, boom, gets upfield. To me, he's the best, has the best release in the NFL right now. We're the most consistent. Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of the smoothest route runners in the NFL. Right here, he gets upfield, keeps the defender on his upfield shoulder, snaps it inside. He gets that work. Best rack to me. Now, there are many others that are really good at rack and run after the catch, but I like CeeDee Lamb the most because he does the most with the least every time he gets the ball in his hands. As you can see here.
Also, that's that punt returner in CeeDee Lamb when he gets the football in his hand.
Oh, yeah. Best hands for me, Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes without saying. He can probably be in every category I'm talking about, but I had to put him somewhere. So why not put him in best hands category? Because he is
got the best hands.
He probably does have the best hands.
Also, too, you think about Justin Jefferson. He's a guy that they know is getting the football, and you can't stop it.
Nothing you can do. Nothing you can do about it. And overall, for me, the number one best player in the league, obviously the best Bengal player of all time, Jamar Chase.
Wow.
Here he is, quick out route, boom. Bland overruns to the house. Jamar Chase, to me, is probably not just the best receiver in the NFL, like I did say, the best receiver to ever play for the Bengals and don those stripes.
Well, I mean, that's big, right? Because I played against a receiver from the Bengals who had different names.
Yes, sir.
At one point, he was Chad Johnson, and then he was Ocho Cinco,
Yes, sir.
but he was pretty darn good. And what he was good at was tracking the deep ball. I see you didn't have that trait on there. If I was to ask you,
Yes, sir.
who's the best deep ball receiver in the league, who would you put in that category?
You know, the fact that having the best deep ball receiver in the NFL, if I was to give one, but George Pickens, you are that guy. Your ability to track the ball, your hand-eye coordination, especially in 50-50 balls, and being able to track even when you are open on deep balls past 20 or 30 yards is phenomenal, and I do salute you.
Well, I'm good. You know, I felt like I had two Tigers in there. I got a Pittsburgh Steeler in there. So now I can go hang out with some guys that I didn't like so much when I played football. We're going to head over to Coach and also Chris Long and talk about some of the gotta-have-it plays from the weekend. Coach, the stage is yours.
This is a key 3rd and 10 play for Kansas City against the Chargers last week. This first shot is from the end zone. The Chiefs do, I think, what you would want to do here, which is to send the center Creed to the linebacker and have the back P. Ryan pick up the safety. Of course, that's Derwin James, so a really good blitzer. But it's almost like Mahomes has two sets of eyes. One set to look at the rush and the other set to look downfield and see the receivers. And so his instinctive ability here to slide on the rush, and we have a free blitzer coming out here on the edge, so he slides up and uses this almost as a screen to kind of buy more time in the pocket, come over here, and then with no footwork at all, just jumping up in the air, has the arm strength and the accuracy to just zip that ball to Worthy for a critical 3rd down conversion.
And, Coach, I know people are going to watch this and look at P. Ryan's block and think he was blowed up, but this is a great block by him to be able to push Derwin James to the right of Patrick Mahomes. This is what allows him to be able to step up here.
100%. This is a great job by P. Ryan. So it's a tough situation for the back, but he does a great job here. And of course, Mahomes is just it just to have that presence in the pocket and have his eyes downfield. Let's take a look at the route. Now, Kelsey has a lot of freedom in his route running tree. He can pretty much go wherever he goes after 5 yards. And so he's matched here, but he has enough awareness to not come back into this area because he's got another in-cut coming in behind him. So he drags the defender across to open up this space. Ultimately, Worthy, sees that the safety's on top of him, comes back into the space, and Mahomes hits him for a big play. But really, Kelsey does a great job of dragging the defender out of here so that there's a space there to throw.
I think also what's amazing here is he has to come back in order to catch this football. If he waits on that, then these defenders can converge and probably make a play on him or the football.
What a play.
Yeah.
What a play. Here's a play earlier in the Rams-Bills game that led to a big play. It's 3rd and 3 on the 3-yard line, and Buffalo clearly is in a max blitz situation. And so I'm sure that the Rams practiced this and were ready for this, but when it came up, they ended up running this play. So there's the free blitzer on Stafford. Stafford's got to get the ball off before he gets there. Nakua's running a little stop route on the goal line, and we have a flag route coming in behind it. And really, the flag route's open, but Stafford just doesn't have enough time. He tries to stuff it in there to Nakua, but they just can't hit it. So that's a play in the second quarter. Now we go to the fourth quarter. Same situation here, 2 minutes to go. Everybody's up on the line of scrimmage. The Rams are in a different formation, but this time when Stafford recognizes it, he checks to a tear screen outside. So instead of trying to throw a downfield route, he just throws the ball out here on the tear screen. Now, the line of scrimmage is the 19-yard line. So the legal blocking zone is 1 yard past the line of scrimmage. So on this play, the inside receiver, Kupp, can go 1 yard downfield and legally block a defender, all right, to come and catch this tear screen, and it ends up springing the play here for a touchdown.
And you'd like to see the line react quicker to what's obviously a screen look.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, Von Miller really should turn and flatten out and run with this and be able to pick up the receiver when he comes in behind the kickout block here. And so, here's the key play in the game. Goes for a touchdown, but it kind of really came off of the recognition from an earlier situation. And then later in the game when it came up again, Rams nailed it.
Yeah, that's about situational football awareness. And coming up, one of my favorite players to ever play in the league, the legend. Welcome back to Inside the NFL, and it's an absolute honor to be joined by one of the best to ever do it as a safety and as a leader in the NFL, and it's Mr. Rodney Harrison. Man, thank you so much for joining us.
Guys, it is an honor to be here. And Coach Belichick, man, good to see you, brother.
Good to see you too, Rodney. Good to have you on, man.
Rodney, we were talking a little bit before you came on. I just talked about how much I admired your game, the physicality you played with, the effort, the heart, and the way that you led. I would love to ask this question because I always wondered, what was it that created the mindset that you walked into every stadium with?
Well, Ryan, it was something I grew up with. I started playing football at 6 years old, and my mom always told me I had this incredible amount of energy, and I always wanted to run into stuff. So I always wanted to tackle people, and that was just part of who I was. And then she put me in football. She used her last $40. It was either to have me join football or pay the light bill. And she didn't pay the light bill. She allowed me to join the football team. And I told her, I said, Mom, because you made that sacrifice, when I go to the NFL, I'm going to buy you a home. And that's the first thing I did, Ryan, when I was able to go to National Football League. I bought her a home. I made true on my promise. And I said, Mom, my career is for you. I'm dedicating my career to you.
Man, I love that. I think those are the stories that build the heart and the character of not only the player, but the person. But there's someone on this set, Rodney, that actually questions how tough you were and are, and they want to challenge you. But before that, I think we should watch this video because he talks about the fact that you were scared of him most of the times y'all played.
Walk away, man. Blaze. Walk away. What's up, bud? I'm starting before the game starts.
Ocho is so good for the game, man, because that's what we need. And listen, Ocho, I respected you, man. I thought you was a heck of a receiver. I thought you was tough. You weren't afraid to come across the middle. You catch a slant, I hit you. You get up and say, "Hey, Harrison, that's all you got?" That's the type of fun that you need. Oh, yeah. And I love me some Chad Ochocinco, bro.
Yeah, listen, I always respected you, man. I always respected the way you played the game, the physicality you brought to the game. Obviously, it made me a little nervous, but I had to make sure I didn't show it. I didn't show any signs of weakness during that time. But, man, it was always an honor and always a pleasure to share the field and grace it with you.
Also, Ryan, I like to say this too, Ryan. I have a lot of respect for you, Ryan, because when people look at you, you're not like a real big dude, but you played with heart. You were smart. You could have definitely played on the Patriots, and we would have loved you.
I appreciate
you were physical.
that.
Yeah, you could cover. You could tackle. It's just when you have good people in the locker room, you have great players playing that game, man. We welcome them all. And Coach Belichick, I couldn't say thank you enough for the opportunities that you've given me. I would not be here where I'm at if it weren't for you. You taught me so much about the game, and I've never learned so much about football and enjoyed it in the process. So thank you very much, Coach.
Yeah, well, appreciate it, Rodney. And, coming right back at you, I appreciate all you did for me and my family. We certainly wouldn't have been the team that we were without you, and I learned so much from watching you play. As I've said many times before, you're the second best defensive player I've ever coached, and there's a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame, but after Lawrence Taylor, you're it. And not only did you play great for us and give us great leadership, but you made everybody else better. But I want to show you a film, and this is a film that I showed to our safeties every year. They always saw it, and it was you matched up against a guy from Pittsburgh, Hines Ward. And we talked about Hines Ward coming in and being the best blocking receiver in the NFL. But he never really wanted to block you.
I'm at the text Hines about this and say, Hines, hold on, man. I know you didn't run from that smoke when you played the Patriots.
Here he's got a chance to block you or Blue Gay. He picks Blue Gay. Here he is again. He comes over. He's got a chance for you or the corner. And he's in block corner.
It look like smart business decisions to me, Coach.
Yeah. But I just want to say good luck on this Hall of Fame, and I fully support you. I've coached, a lot of great players, but, after LT, you're it. You deserve to be in there, and I hope it works out for you. I really do.
Rodney, it's great to see you on the show because we hear about you and LT every week. And that obviously means a lot coming from him. But, you talk about safeties that'll really stick their face in the fan there, so to speak. If you had to have one tackle in a gotta-have-it situation in the box in today's NFL with the game on the line, and we debated this off camera, who would you pick out of the safety group?
Derwin James.
Yeah, I told you. He didn't even pause.
Absolutely. And last year, to where Brandon Staley had him playing 25 yards deep, playing him cover 2 deep middle part of the field, it absolutely drove me crazy because I know the impact that I had when Coach Belichick put me closer to the line of scrimmage, covering tight ends, covering slots and blitzing and making negative plays in the backfield. The one question I have is, what's up with this UNC?
Yeah, that's a good question. We've been asking the same question.
Coach, don't think you could just come up here and not talk about it. What's going on?
He's the perfect guy to ask.
You're in the media. You believe everything that's out there?
Hey, that's why I'm coming to you, Coach, because you always said if we have any problems, anything that we want to discuss, you have an open door policy. We can walk right in. So I'm asking you right now, is that something that you're seriously considering?
I've talked to him, and I'm considering it.
Well, there you go.
I would just say this, they would be damn fools not to hire you, okay? Because you're not going to find anybody better on this planet than Coach Belichick. And people say, well, he's not going to want to go in NIL and all this other stuff. Heck, you've been a general manager for the last 20 years. Why can't you negotiate a couple $100,000 for some kids? Are you kidding me?
Well, hey, Rodney, bro, don't be rushing Coach off the set yet, man. We still got a lot of shows to do, but you are absolutely right. I've said it for the last 2 weeks. Anybody who has an opportunity to hire a head coach in this cycle, if Coach Bill Belichick's name is not on the top of your list, you don't deserve the job.
Man, he's just a good dude, and I think spending that time with you guys get a chance to see just how great of a man he is and how smart and with all the football knowledge and wisdom that he has.
No, absolutely. I told all my Pittsburgh Steelers old teammates, like the worst revelation of 2024 is that I actually like Bill Belichick. So I get it totally.
It's not hard to do.
It's not hard to do. Rodney, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck on the Hall of Fame. And I don't know if you have some free time off, but I'd love to have you on the pivot so we could talk about your journey a little bit more and let people know you're a Hall of Fame person, also a player.
Well, Ryan, I appreciate it, man. And I love what you guys are doing. The show is going through the roof. So I appreciate it. And Ocho, keep doing your thing, man. On so many platforms you're on, Chris. And Coach Belichick, thank you so much, man. I love you, Coach. Appreciate you guys.
Man,
Thank you.
appreciate
I
it.
love you too, man. Thank you.
I really don't know how you beat that going forward, but coming up next, we will name our football guy after just talking to one of the best football guys of all time.
He's a football player.
Here we go with our football guy. And last week, Chris Boswell, kicker from the Pittsburgh Steelers, was the winner. And so that also means that Chad Johnson won. Here's the scores now. I'm at 6, Chris Long at 4, Chad Ocho Cinco Johnson at 4 as well. I know Coach has a special shout out that he wants to give to a football guy.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Ryan Wendell, who's the offensive line coach of the Rams. They scored 44 points against Buffalo. Pat Hill, the head coach at Fresno State, called me after the 2007 season in Fresno and said, you know, I got a guy for you to be a good camp center. He'll never make your team, but he's a good guy for camp. Yeah. So we took him, and I cut him 3 times in the first 2 years. And finally, after the practice squad and all that, he got on the team, and he ended up playing in 80 games. He started 49.
Wow.
And in 2012, he led the league with the most number of plays played that year, with almost 1,400 snaps. And now he's the offensive line coach for the Rams. Guy who's really come up the hard way, earned his stripes. Dundee, proud of you.
I love that, Coach. Coach, that's a real football guy. That's an amazing story. My football guy wasn't cut. He was a 3rd-round pick. He's in his 4th year, and his name is Ernest Jones.
He's going to throw in the middle. It's intercepted. Jones. He's across the 20, tripped up and dropped.
Started the season with the Rams, was traded to the Titans. Now he's part of the Seattle Seahawks defense. And since acquiring Jones in Week 8, they're 7th in scoring, up from 19th. They're 12th in yards, up from 22nd, and 13 in run D, up from 29. To go to 2 different teams, continue to play hard the way he has this entire season, I think he's done a great job of acclimating into those locker rooms, becoming a leader, and making plays.
Now it's time for the big shebang here. Okay. All right, you said a minimum of 3 years in the NFL? Is that
that's
the
3rd year?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this guy played for 19 years in the NFL for 13 different teams, including the Hartford Colonials, which I didn't even know existed. No disrespect. His name is Josh McCown. He's the reason that Sam Darnold is balling right now. He's one of the reasons. Sam's doing a great job. He's got great lettuce.
Not the receivers?
He's got great lettuce. Best head of hair in the NFL.
It's a good one.
He's a tremendous person. You guys all know Josh.
Awesome dude. And can flat out hoop.
Awesome.
Can hoop.
Can flat out hoop.
Yeah.
So we love Josh.
And run.
He's a consummate pro. He played for 13 teams, man. 19 years in the NFL, Josh McCown.
Both of you guys have very good football guys.
Weren't you supposed to FaceTime your football guy to prove to me that you knew who he was?
I don't have any minutes, and we don't have that much time. but listen, Coach, I want to tell you something. I never forget. You know, I have the memory of an elephant, and I remember, Coach, you mentioned this guy in Week 5 in the pre-show meeting.
There's JT Gray, best special teams player on the field.
And my football guy, I'm guessing you guys, RC and Chris, you didn't watch the Saints-Giants special teams coaching film. Well, I did. Yesterday with Bill. We watched it together. And my football guy is JT Gray.
Oh, man.
Huh?
Oh, man.
Listen to me. Listen, it's been a tough season for New Orleans, but my football guy, he keeps playing hard.
It's blocked. Saints pick it up. Saints pick it up. Blocked by JT Gray.
We call it chopping wood where I'm from. There's really no wood in Liberty City in Miami, but that's what JT Gray has been.
Never chopped wood.
Listen,
never chopped wood.
Talk about, what do you think I do when it gets cold? But listen, let me finish.
Okay, Rocky.
Listen, he had 3 tackles versus the Giants, right? He currently leads the NFL in special team tackle. He blocked the punt in Week 3. He's a 2-time All-Pro Bowl special teamer. Did I mention he was undrafted in 2018?
No, you didn't.
Drafted. Well, I just did.
Because you didn't know who he was.
I did know who he was. I can call him right now. His name's JT Gray. Huh? That's my football guy.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
It's like 3 pretty good.
That's pretty good.
This week.
This is like a bad week to have a good guy.
This is like the hardest one we've had Where do we start? Every time I played against JT Gray, kickoffs and punts, we double team him every single time. Man, I love this guy.
But
I love Josh McCown, and I love Ernest Jones. This is really a tough one. This has been the hardest one. Honestly, it has. But
yeah, he was undrafted.
3 teams in 1 year, making an impact. I mean, I got to go.
What is I'm back on the board. No way.
over Josh.
Absolute over God.
I love all 3 guys.
Hey,
I love all 3.
This man's had to move 3 times, guys. Imagine the impact of that on your soul, emotionally, mentally, on your family, and then to go into the locker room and make an impact. You deserve to be on this wall. Yeah. And it was a good week. And I loved going to Christian conferences with Josh McCown and playing basketball.
Christian conferences?
That was fun.
Oh, this guy's out of control.
Cool. When we come back, the game plan from Coach Bill Belichick and the battle for Pennsylvania.
Oh, I have too many.
Put the 7 up!
I have too many addresses.
Put the 7 up!
Life's hard.
You know what 7 is? 7 is the number of completion.
In the Bible, it is. It is.
Woo! Look at the standings!
That was a good one.
We've already discussed the Steelers' defense and the Eagles' offense, but the offense of the Pittsburgh Steelers is hot. Coach, what do the Eagles have to do to stop the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Well, they got to stop the deep ball. Mm-hmm. They got to stop the run. And Arthur Smith game planning, he comes up with something new every week. We all know that Arthur Smith would take away the opponent's best rusher. So against Cleveland, who's he on?
Myles Garrett, Coach.
He's on Myles Garrett all the way. And so there's the chip by the tight end on Myles Garrett. Mm-hmm. Takes him away. Good time now. Enough time for Russell to throw. Russell's very good with the deep ball. You can't make a mistake in the deep part of the field here. All right, they're rolling. You could see in this case, Cleveland is rolling to Pickens. Mm-hmm. Take him away. There's the single here on Delpit, and Russell just does not miss these. Okay, so now, Chad, we're playing the Giants, and who do we want to double team here on the pass protection?
Against the Giants, you have to double team Dexter Lawrence, Coach. Mm-hmm.
That's right, Chad, and here's a double team on Dexter Lawrence on this play action pass. They slide down with the guard and center, get Dexter double teamed, give Russell enough time to make the throw. And again, as a deep ball thrower, nobody does it better. This guy can put the ball on a dime. And you say defensively, Ryan, how many times have we said, hey, you got to make him make that throw?
Yeah, you have to make him make that throw. But since he's been the starting quarterback at Pittsburgh, he's made them most of the time, Coach.
And doesn't even run Pickens out of bounds on this play.
You know, Coach, just like Chad mentioned early on when he was talking about the wide receivers, the way that George Pickens can track the football down the field, and that's a prime example of it there.
This is another great play design. Cincinnati is in a max blitz situation, and their 4 defenders, have the 4 receivers. Coach Smith flips the running back over, brings Harris over to this side. That brings the blitzer over here, and now he's late on the blitz. Meanwhile, they pop out on the blitz because Pittsburgh slides this way, and they end up picking up the blitz very cleanly with no pressure at all and give Wilson plenty of time to throw against a max blitz. This is really well done, well executed by the offensive team, but it totally messes up Cincinnati's max blitz. Mm-hmm. And so when the defender pops out on the line slide, that leaves the guard open to block the blitzer. And now Wilson has extra time. The defenders are squatting, expecting the ball to come out on time, but it doesn't. Wilson's able to hold it for another half a second, and there it is.
And they did a great job in this game of beating the blitz.
Yep.
All right, when you look at the Eagle defense, I like to refer to them as the Philadelphia Bulldogs. Half their defense is from Georgia. We got Carter, we got Dean, we got Nolan Smith. It's really the Bulldog defense here. They're all from Georgia. And Howie Roseman, the general manager, has done a great job of putting this group together. The second youngest defense in the league. They're playing really well. They're very well coordinated.
Chris, what do you call this technique that Jalen Carter is using right now?
Checking whoop ass. And that's what I love about his game.
Yeah.
He is a million miles an hour and he's attacking edges.
Man.
But I love this because they're going to force Lamar away from his throwing hand and make a decision that way.
This defensive line is really aggressive. And here with Carter and Williams, the ball's on the 40-yard line. And now they reset the line of scrimmage. Now the line of scrimmage is the 38-yard line. So there's nowhere to go. They do a great job of being aggressive, playing with good pad level, and controlling the line of scrimmage. And, Chris, I think the big difference between the defensive line this year and last year is their conditioning.
No question.
They play hard. Jalen Carter can play every play.
You're seeing Jalen Carter play, first through fourth quarter consistently, and I think we showed flashes last year. Now he's flashing every single possession.
Yeah, but there were times last year where it looked like they had a hard time getting on and off the field when they were substituting.
No question.
They didn't look like they were in good condition at all.
No
this
question.
year, these guys are roaring. And again, this shows the alertness here of their defense. It's 3rd down and 2. The Ravens are in an unbalanced line. The tackle's standing up here. The tight end's over, and they have this odd formation. The Eagles react to it very quickly. The linebackers zip over here. Sweat sees the space. He penetrates, takes out 4 blockers. And, of course, Zay Flowers. Not sure about running the toss crack behind Zay Flowers. But regardless, it's still a really good play here and alertness by Sweat. And then here come the linebackers up and in, and a TFL on 3rd and 2. Chris, here's your move. Here's your move.
His club is so violent. I mean, it really is. He's going to make a lot of money off this one move.
And the good thing about this defensively is Carter does a great job of penetrating, but then Nolan Smith and Milton Williams do a nice job of playing off of this penetration. They actually end up getting the sack, but it's a layered rush. So you have penetration here, then you have that second layer here. Sweat's going to fall back in after getting chipped outside. But this is a really good pass rush. When they all go in there at once and the quarterback steps through, there's nobody left. But here, there's a layer to it. There's just nowhere for the quarterback to go. This is going to be a great matchup. Look, in 1943, the Steelers and the Eagles joined teams together. They formed one team, the Steagles. Because of the war, they didn't have enough players.
Right.
I don't think there's any chance of that happening this week in the Battle of Pennsylvania. These two teams do not like each other. It's a great matchup. Two well-coached, great football teams in the state of Pennsylvania.
Absolutely. This is a big game this week, Chad, and so we know we need to bring you in.
I've been predicting right my entire life. You go my way, because I'm going to be open. Well, you're going to kiss the baby today.
Chad in the back of the end zone. Touchdown. Nice.
Chad, please. I've been correct since day one.
Pittsburgh at Philadelphia.
I think Philly needs to get those 2 receivers, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, a little bit more involved in the game, because if they're going to happen to win this game, I think it has to be through the air. So I think it's going to be a close battle in the Battle of Pennsylvania, but I got Philly winning 21-17.
Okay, what do you got? Miami at Houston.
Listen, I'm picking with my heart again. I have Miami edging out the Texans 28-23.
Okay, and one of the games of the weekend, the Buffalo Bills at the Detroit Lions.
Listen, this is a really good one. Whenever you have a coach that has the size of kahunas that Dan Campbell has, that's the team you go with. I have the Lions edging out the Bills 35-21.
I mean, you heard it here first. It is Ocho Predicto, so you know you can put your money where Chad's mouth is. We appreciate you clicking your heels and cooling your heels with us. Catch us next week on the CW at 9 p.m. Eastern here on Inside the NFL.
I love you.